Alright, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakakadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who teach and rule well. And peace, love, and salutation to the Akim that's out there laboring, that's out there hopeful elect, that's doing this work and truth and sincerity. And pretty much now we're in the middle of a trade war, as everybody knows, with China. And this is pretty much the perfect recipe to the breaking down of this society as we know it. And the reason why is because we depend so heavily on goods from China. Okay? And pretty much Trump, what he did was he increased the tariff, which is a tax on goods being exported from China to the U.S. at a rate of 145%. So that will be the ultimate cost for goods to enter into this country and to enter into the markets, okay, for goods and services. So pretty much, China has pretty much not gone through with bringing any goods here. And as they are talking now, they're saying that the last shipment will be pretty much May 11th on the West Coast. And pretty much, these ships are pretty much out at sea pretty much, a month at a time. So this shipment that's coming in was pretty much before this whole, tariff war. And this means a trickling down effect on the economy, you see, because fewer cargo coming to the shores of Babylon will probably, more than likely, limit the amount of dock workers that are on the docks working on these ships, okay? Because there are fewer ships coming in. China pretty much, they make up a large percentage of goods and services coming in, in our ports, chiefly on the West Coast. And now you're gonna have the logistics problem as far as it being non-existent, okay, of trucks. Over-the-road trucks traveling from the West Coast over to the east, north, south, and east, okay, to deliver these goods that are coming off of the docks in, likes of San Diego, Los Angeles, San Francisco, you see? And we're going to see a trickle-down effect as far as truck drivers, okay? Work is not going to be available to deliver these services, you see? And this all is going to be a trickle-down effect, and this is definitely going to kill the mom and pop shops that are pretty much, in business. And pretty much you're going to have to rely on pretty much big box stores soon, okay? And this is ultimately what they wanted. This is only going to pretty much add to the, what's the old saying? Pretty much the other shoe dropping, so to speak. Okay, we first seen this during the pandemic, okay, with the killing of the mom and pop shops, and now this crisis that's coming up here on the horizon will pretty much finish off the job. A lot of companies that depend on import-export business will be hurt. You see? Now we're seeing that this trickle-down effect is going to affect the everyday citizen, man. Okay? Because you're going to have stores closing. Okay? Pretty much, the goods that are being, sold in the stores is pretty much going to dwindle down, and they're going to have anything to sell. You see? What we're seeing, is pretty much something that's pretty much done, that they knew that this would happen, and they knew that this would actually, break down and crash this dollar so they can bring this new digital system in, and this goes in the guise of the perfect crisis, man. The saying goes that you never let a good crisis go to waste. Okay, so there's pretty much for them to accomplish on the guise of this tariff war. But I want to play this clip from this individual that's speaking, okay, concerning the tariffs. Okay, so I'll probably well, you know what? I'll probably just play it all the way through, and then we'll get to the scriptures. So without any further
America is about to learn how good we actually used to have it. The ports are empty. Food isn't coming in. Goods are not coming in. Everyone who works in the shipping industry is saying we are about to face a crisis much bigger than the empty shelves during COVID. We have felt entitled in this country to freedom, to democracy, to human rights, to unlimited food and crap to buy. We got lazy and we did nothing to maintain those freedoms and those rights. We assumed that other people would do it. We stopped valuing our own education. We stopped reading. We stopped being kind to other people. We got completely hell-bent on having more stuff, on having more money, on having more whatever, having more fucking Botox in our faces. It's a false ladder that we were taught to climb. And I don't know if this current iteration of Americans has it in them to survive the Great Depression, Part 2, but I don't know if we're going to have a choice, babe.
And that's pretty much the point, and she said pretty much a mouthful, and this place, the decadence of this place, has been on high for a very long time. This was a pretty much a consumer-based society, a drug-induced society. They rely heavily on drugs, in the form of illegal, pretty much over-the-counter drugs. Okay, and the hospitals are also going to suffer as well. You see, okay, because a lot of the medications that are pretty much prescribed, to the patients are from, in fact, China. You see, but like I said, she said that the dock workers are pretty much saying that this will be a like another depression, okay, and this will be a chain reaction, and it will affect different sectors of industry, okay, and how the way that we pretty much the everyday citizen lives their everyday lives will be affected by this. You see, okay, and then people don't really see that. People are pretty much are still settled on their leads, so to speak. Distracted by things that are that are on social media and on television. You see, but we're gonna see another change now. We witnessed this change several times in recent years. The short term past. With 911, when that happened, it changed the way of life. And different. The Patriot Act was pretty much implemented. Okay, then you had the Demic that came in. Okay, that changed another way of life. Okay, and pretty much laws were passed, and we're seeing now ahead of this whole thing. Okay, and that's for another lesson. Executive orders were pretty much rendered out to pretty much militarize these local police departments, man. Okay, and we're seeing now, okay, the walls, closing in because he's pretty much starting to make his move. You see? All right, so I'm starting with a scripture real quick. Let's get Second Esdras in the Apocrypha, chapter 6. Verse 22. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. Okay? And pretty much this is what the prophet Ezra seen, okay? That pretty much, this was pretty much divulged to him, okay? When he was pretty much speaking with the angel, okay? And now, this time that we're singing now, okay, is when we're on the cusp of this, man. Okay, where things are pretty much right now, some intact, but it's gonna become unhinged, man. Okay, because people pretty much are going to lose their jobs, and and this would pretty much go into Second Esdras, the 15th and 16th chapter. You see, okay, and it says, and the trumpet shall give a sound, which every man heareth, they shall be suddenly afraid. And at that time shall friends fight against one another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. We gotta remember something. This is gonna turn into a global crisis, man. Okay, because the biggest consumer on earth is being cut off, okay, from the rest of the world, okay, because right now, as they speak, China is pretty much trying to get other countries on board of not sending goods to them, okay, so this will affect the global economy as a whole, okay, because the intake, all right, is going to cease, you see, okay. But we're going to see the effects of this here in Babylon, man, and this is going to go global, man. Okay? Wall Street, the investors in Wall Street are pretty much going to lose all confidence, man, in the system, man. Okay? And the system will definitely be, on life support. We have to remember that China pretty much holds a lot of the U.S. debt. Okay? So pretty much, once they start, when they already begin dumping the dollar is going to pretty much have no more power, okay? And this money soon is going to be worthless, man, okay? So we're seeing now how we're seeing the implementation of this digital system, man, okay? And we're seeing it across all spectrums of living right now, okay? I see. Right? But pretty much things are going to get hectic, man. But it says that friends are going to fight against one another like enemies, man. Okay? You see? All right? People are pretty much are going to, fortify their household, man. Okay? To try to keep whatever little they have, man. Because why? You're gonna have an alarming rate of people breaking into people's homes, man. Okay, all right. The scriptures speak about that, man. For the lack of bread, man. You see? Okay. But pretty much, man. The points right there, and then a lot of these these utilities, okay, are gonna be cut off, man. Okay. So this man is going to put the people, okay, in a position of difficulty, man. Okay, for you to ultimately bend the knee, man. Okay, that's the ultimate goal here. You see, and she was saying a few other things, of how this place pretty much, live this lavish life that they can't really afford, man. Okay? And we see that, man. From there, let's go to Isaiah chapter 47. Okay? All right? And, the topic is lamenting for Babylon, man. Okay? Because this is where we're headed for, man. This place is going to lament. Okay? This is Isaiah chapter 47 verse 8. Because this place is to sit in the dust, man. It's gonna sit in pretty much in a place of great confusion, man. You see? But it says, verse 8, therefore hear now this, thou that are given to pleasures, that dwelleth carelessly, that saith in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. And this is the mindset of this place, man. Okay? This place has been given into pleasures, man, and that dwell carelessly, man. This is the place of unwalled villages, man. Okay? You see? All right? And pretty much pride is at an all-time high, But you're having a few people that are pretty much seeing that something is not right, Okay? And people are calling it out, But at the end of the day, there's nothing that they can really do about it, man. Okay? This is all prescribed from the Lord, man. Okay? These things must come to pass, man, because we're at the end of this man's rulership, man. Okay? And this place is pretty much going to go out much more bitterly than it did when it was in its inception, man, of how this place was established, man. Okay? So, pretty much the blood, okay, that was spilt, at the hands of this man upon the children of Israel, it's going to come upon his own head, man. But it says, right, verse 9, but these two things shall come to thee in a moment, in one day, the loss of children and widowhood. They shall come upon thee in their perfection, for the multitude of thy sorceries and for the great abundance of thy enchantments. You see? Okay? And this is what this place is about, man. All right? This place pretty much continually puts up rituals, man. Okay? To pretty much continue to enrich their power, man. Okay? And dominance in the earth, man. You see? A lot of that left-hand energy, man, is what got them to where they are today, man. Along with the power of the sword, man. You see? Okay? But these things are going to come upon this man in their perfection, man. You see? But it says, verse 10, for thou hast trusted in thy wickedness. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge, it had perverted thee. And pretty much, man, this man has pretty much outsourced all of the jobs. Okay? They pretty much, stopped teaching in the schools. All right? Real what you would need to do to pretty much keep this kingdom going. And pretty much, went the way of, being so quote unquote politically correct and introducing them to alternative lifestyles, man. Okay? That was the main thing that they were doing in the schools, man. And what they continue to do in the schools, man. Okay? In the place where they're more concerned about with your child's sexuality more than getting any proper, education, man. You see? Okay? But it says, therefore shall evil come upon thee, and thou shalt not know from whence it riseth, and mischief shall fall upon thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off, and desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Okay? You know, when the scriptures speak about, man, has wisdom left this man? You know, roughly paraphrasing, man. And the answer is yes, man. You know? Okay? He's thinking that these, you know, he has a lot of these other nations wrapped around his finger, man. You see? Okay? But evil is coming upon this man, okay? All right? Blood will pursue him, man, because since he does not have hated blood, blood shall pursue him, man. You see? Okay? And this man is gonna get caught in the snare, man. Because we see it through the spirit how these other nations are pretty much are conspiring, man. Okay? You see? And we're seeing that the foundations of this place is being broken down, man. You know? You see? You know, this man has pretty much dealt, wrongfully to the nations, man. Okay? Chiefly our people, man. You see? So now, you know, it's gonna come up a point in time, man, when this man is going to reap what he sowed, man. You know, the chicken's pretty much coming home to roost, so to speak, man. All right? This is Isaiah chapter 33, verse 1. Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. You know, this is going to be payback for what this man has done on all the earth, man. You know, lying, robbing, stealing, okay, right, killing, all right, to establish his order, man, okay, to establish his standard, man. You see, right? So it says, O Yahweh, be gracious unto us, speaking of the children of Israel, for we have waited for thee. Be thou their arm every morning, our salvation also in the time of trouble, man. Okay? And this is pretty much the elect right here, man. Okay? Because only the elect is going to turn to the Lord. You know? But this man has pretty much heaped up treasures for the last days, man. Okay? And it says that he shall vomit it back up. Okay? We have to remember that, man. All right? This is Job 15, verse 23. He wandereth abroad for bread, saying, where is it? Okay, this man has been shaking down nations upon nation, for centuries, man. Okay, wandereth abroad, man. Okay, and asking him, where is it? Okay, and they see what they like. They pretty much oust that leader if he doesn't get down with the program. They oust him, put a puppet government up, and pretty much reap the benefits of that place, man. And pretty much the resources of that place was to enrich the people, enrich the land. It has remained a third war country, and the resources that the place produces is not benefiting them at all, man. You see? It says, right? He wandereth abroad for bread, saying, where is it? He knoweth that his day of darkness is ready at hand. Okay? And this man only has a certain time to rule until this man goes into obscurity, man. Okay? The scriptures speak about, man, he's going to be as though he have not been. Okay? So pretty much, man, the time is ticking on this damn devil, man. Okay? You see? All right, from there, let's go to Obadiah, last precept. All right? I'm gonna snag a couple verses out of this. Okay, and the title you're seeing, Edom will be humbled, man. Okay, all right, that's the topic, man. All right. Speaking of Edom, we're gonna, go down to verse 4. It says, "Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, and thou hast set thy nest amongst the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Yahweh," man. Okay? This man has always exalted himself as the eagle, man. Okay? I pretty much think most of the nations use that eagle, man, and put it on their flag, man. You see? Okay? But it says, if thieves came to thee, if robbers by night, how art thou cut off? Would they have not stolen till they had enough? If grape gatherers came to thee, would thou not leave some grapes? And this man wants it all, man, and has had it all, man. Okay, and that's not speaking of just Babylon, man. The whole EU, man. Okay, you got members of the EU and NATO that pretty much have their hand in the earth as well. Speaking of France, the Netherlands, okay, that have pretty much stakes Germany, okay, they have pretty much carved up Africa, okay, like a smorgasbord, man, okay, all right, with unlimited amount of resources, this is what this man is pretty much, amassed, man. Right? It says, how are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden things sought up? And all the truth is pretty much coming out now, man. With whistleblowers and people pretty much sounding the alarm, but not in a spiritual sense. That's the job of the men of the Lord. But you have these regular, everyday Joe Schmoes, man, okay, that are ringing the alarm, man, and they're giving their take on what they see, and it really all lines up to what where this place is headed, man. Okay, you see, and it says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. Let's get confederacy real quick. Okay, simple definition: confederacy, a league or an alliance, especially of confederate states. But that's not what we really want, though, because when it's considering the confederate states, that's pretty much going into the war between the North and the South. Okay, but pretty much is a league or an alliance. Okay, you see, right? Have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee, and there is none understanding in him. Okay, so a lot of these places, man, are going to turn on us, man. And that's going into biblical prophecy, man. Okay, we're seeing these things being played out in real time, man. We're seeing how the scenario can go down. Okay, we're seeing how this place has alienated himself from the world, man. You see? Okay, it says, shall I not in that day, saith the Lord, even destroy the wise men out of Edom and the understanding out of the Mount of Esau? And pretty much, man, this man is pretty much his wisdom is losing him, man. Okay, because part of the secret society was to keep it strong was that to keep it secret, man. Okay, but now it's being exposed on all levels. Okay, you see, and this man has pretty much gained the whole world in a carnal sense, man. Okay, right? And it says, and thy mighty men, O Teman, shall be dismayed, to the end that every one of the Mount of Esau may be cut off by slaughter, man. You see? Okay, so this man is pretty much sliding down a slippery slope, so to speak. Okay? And his mindset is pretty much on autopilot from Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, man. Okay? To his own destruction at the end of the day, man. Okay? All right? You know, he's going to sit here and point out the so-called boogeyman, all right? When he's doing a fine job of single-handedly destroying his own society, man. Okay? With these pretty much these cockamamie moves, okay, that are not gonna be to any profit of them, man. You know? Okay, so pretty much, man, hey, you know, okay, we're seeing this going down.
So Donald Trump just,
you know, we're seeing this going down.
Is about to learn.
You know, and pretty much, man, you know, and it says, you know, what it say here in the caption? Keep going to your concerts and pretending everything is fine, you know. And these people are not going to pretty much kick the can down the road or sweep anything under the rug anymore, okay? Because it's going to be something that, you know. But anyway, I don't want to keep rambling, but at the end of the day, you know, we're seeing where this place is headed, man. Okay? And there's a whole plethora of videos that are speaking about these empty ports, man. Okay? You know? And it's going to be devastating, man, how you know, this place is going to take that downturn, man. Okay? But we have to rejoice in that, man, because we know that, you know, the end of Esau's world is beginning of ours, man. You know? All right? You know, and this man's pretty much, you know, his lease on the earth is pretty much taking up now, man. Okay? He has an expiring lease. And, you know, he's going to be met with this angelic force and not be met, you know, with the man. Okay? So, you know, the day of the Lord is nigh, man, and we have to go through these things, all right, to pretty much fulfill prophecy, okay, and pretty much, you know, all our wars coming, man, you know, like, but again, that's for another topic, though. But right now, we're going to speak about these empty ports, man, and the trickle-down effect that it will have on the economy, man. Okay, this crisis right here can single-handedly destroy, you know, the just pretty much. Let me just end it there, you know. All right, I'm gonna keep rambling, but I hope this lesson was edifying, and I'm gonna give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem, Rokak Wadash, Shalom.